प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. Om. Dear friends, in the last episode we were seeing an interesting subject. In Indian society we are all concerned with one subject. There is a lot of discussion, there is a lot of anger, there is a lot of frustration among several people about this particular issue. The issue is about what we call caste now, and what do our books say? In fact, we know that Gita is our primary text. Gita is supposed to be the essence of all the Upanishads. Upanishads are called the Vedanta, that is the last word, the final word of the Veda. And those final words of the Vedas are condensed and then they are given in a book form. They are given as a sort of message, not exactly a book form by Krishna to Arjuna. Krishna taught it to, Krishna discussed it in the battlefield with Arjuna. So incidentally, this is an incidental observation by Krishna. It is not as though Krishna is trying to tell about Varna, etc. It is an incidental thing because he was teaching about the yoga which has been taught by him, that is pravrutti dharma and nivrutti dharma. And then he thought that the teaching was over, and then he was telling about how he taught that thing to, say, the sun god and etc. etc. we saw in the last episodes. So in the last episode, we just came to this particular shloka which talks about Chaturvarnyam. Chaturvarnyam means the four varnas which are found in the Indian society. Not only in Indian society, of course, they are there in all the Eastern societies, Chinese society, Greek society, it is there, it used to be there, and then Japanese society, it used to be there. Of course, we are not concerned with them now, but now we will only discuss what is the manifestation in India. And the point is, we should know what our books say, because we are under the impression that there is one section of people, these fellows, they have been exploiting us all through, they have exploited all through history, etc. All such opinions we have. And there are also people who nurture hatred towards them. They say, okay, these rascals, they have built up this caste system, you go and hit them. So like that, there are people who are trying to exploit, they are trying to say divide the country into the so-called forward caste and then the so-called backward or the so-called say other downtrodden classes. So that is the background. In that sociological context, we have to know what exactly our books say. So in the last episode, I was reading this particular shloka, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Up to this point we know, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam most people know, but this guna karma vibhagashaha we don't know. So this I was explaining in the last episode how this varna is something, it is dependent on the intrinsic nature of a person. We know that I have several times told about what is called the sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, etc. And the intrinsic nature in a person, in any person, is a mixture of all these three. It is not as though one person is 100% pure and another person is 100% villain, etc. It is not like that. There is a mixture of all these things in any person. So that is what I was explaining. And the predominance of a particular characteristic in a person determines his classification. So we have to classify people. In fact, in all societies, people are classified. In all societies, okay, this fellow is fit for army, this man is fit to be a professor, this man is fit to be an engineer, this man is fit to be a worker only. So like that, there is a classification in all societies, even now. So that is why you find, you go to a 5-star hotel, you find scores of people who are dressed as butlers and then who are serving food to you. What are they doing? They are doing service. So that particular section is very much needed in any society. You go to England, you go to America, in any section, you go to some place, there is a person who is serving you food. So this is something which is there in any society. Okay, leave that. So our books, I was referring to in the last episode that Mahabharata, in fact in Mahabharata, sage Vyasa discusses this issue on several occasions. It is not as though this is a hot subject now. This was a hot subject throughout history. Let us understand that it has been a hot subject throughout history. So he says, and I was referring to the certain episodes like say Yaksha Prashna. Yaksha Prashna, you know that Dharmaraja, he encounters that Yaksha, and then that Yaksha puts so many questions, and only after he and Dharmaraja answers, then that Yaksha brings them back to life. The 4 brothers are dead, and then the 4 brothers are brought back to life only after this gentleman answers the questions. And in those questions again, there is a question about who is a Brahmana. So Dharmaraja explains, oh, this man is a Brahmana, this, so he should have these qualities, otherwise he cannot be called a Brahmana. Then Nahusha Prashna, there is another Prashna I was referring to, that is a king, a mighty king called Nahusha. He got a curse from the rishis. He insulted the rishis, and then he got a curse, and he became a big anaconda type of snake, became a big python. And the boon was that whoever answers your questions, if somebody answers your questions, then your your shapa, your curse will be gone. Of course, whoever answers these questions means he should not ask very simple questions like what is your name, etc. So he has to ask certain other questions. So this Nahusha was asking questions about various dharma, various aspects of dharma. So one of these questions again is about who is a Brahmin. So there Dharmaraja tells him. So in the last episode I was not having that shloka, today I wrote down that shloka. So the shloka is like this: Satyam, Dhanam, Kshama, Sheelam, Anushamsyam, Tapo, Gruna. Drusyante yatra Nagendra, Sa Brahmana iti smrutaha. This is in that context where Dharmaraja is answering that python, big huge anaconda. So he says, Satyam, the truthfulness, a person in whom truthfulness is there. Dhanam, a person, even if he has very little with him, he is having that inclination to give to others. So that dhanam aspect should be there. Kshama is, even if somebody else harms me, I should be in a position to excuse him. I should be in a position to pardon him. So that is what is pardon. That is kshama, kshama guna. Then sheelam. Sheelam is character. Character is very manifold. It is having so many shades of meaning, and all those shades of meaning we can bring it here. That is sheelam, a person of good character. Then anrushamsyam. Nrushamsa is cruelty. That is, say, the tendency to inflict pain on others. So a person in whom that tendency is totally absent. Anrushamsyam is a person who doesn't inflict any pain on others. So he is having that quality called Anrushamsyam. Then Tapaha. Tapa is the capacity to undergo some sort of spiritual discipline. That is, suppose I have to fast today. Today is, for example, today happens to be an Ekadashi day. So I am supposed to fast. A Brahmana is supposed to do some fast. A Brahmana is supposed to do some Swadhyaya. A person is supposed to read that particular portion of Veda. So if possible, he has to teach others. So various things are there. Swadhyaya is there. Then there are other austerities. Suppose I commit a mistake, then I have to punish myself, in the sense that what is called prayaschitta. All these come under say this tapas. Tapas is undergoing some physical say discomfort also, and then keeping the mind calm under even great duress. So that is what is tapas. Then gruna. Gruna is compassion. A person should have compassion to all the people. So these are the qualities. Where these qualities are seen, such person is a Brahmin. And again in the next breath itself he says, Yatraitan na bhavet sarpa tam shudramiti nirdishet. Where these qualities are not absent, so he should be called a Shudra. And then a Shudra, and any person in whom these qualities are found, he should be regarded as a Brahmana. This is not my word, this is what Vyasa is saying. So it is left to us whether to follow sage Vyasa or whether to continue our system. Not only sage Vyasa in Mahabharata, it also we find such episodes in Bhagavatam also. In fact, I was referring to Bhagavatam also in the last episode. Bhagavatam, in the 5th skandha, we know that Bhagavata has 12 parts. In that 5th part, there is a story of a king called Rishabhadeva. Rishabhadeva, actually he was, say we do not know what is his Varna, he is called a king. He was also a Raja. Because we see that in olden days Prajapati is directly said to be from Brahma, and then he is also a king, like Manu is a Prajapati. So like that, okay, Rishabhadeva had, it seems, 100 sons. 100 sons, okay, we do not know how he had 100 sons, but some people, they choose to be Brahmins some people choose to be Kshatriyas. So, with this story we find in this Bhagavatam. Then again we know the story of people like Vishwamitra, who graduate from one, who change from one particular Varna to another Varna. So, this Varna is something which is based on the innate nature of a person, the characteristic of a person. In fact, if we read the story of Vasishtha and Vishwamitra in Ramayanam, in fact, that is a very, very interesting story. There is a story where Vishwamitra, he goes to Vasishtha's ashrama, and then he wants to forcibly take away. There is a cow, it is supposed to be a sacred cow that gives any amount of food to any number of people. So, that cow he wants to take it away. So, Vasishtha resists. So, there is a sort of clash between Vasishtha and Vishwamitra, and how Vishwamitra is not able to vanquish him. Then Vishwamitra goes and does very, very great tapas, very intense tapas. So, what is it? It is all symbolic. It is not as though there is a fight between Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. It is not a literal fight. It has to be taken symbolically. That Vishwamitra first of all controlled all his internal enemies like anger, hate, greed, etc., etc. And when he totally got rid of all these things, then he attained that particular state. So, that is what it says. It is again symbolic. So, do not question whether all these Brahmanas whom we see have all these characteristics. If they do not have these characteristics, they do not deserve to be called. So, that is as simple as that. It is very, very clear. It is very clear according to Vyasa, according to all people, according to Shankaracharya, according to Ramanuja, everybody. Shankaracharya, if we come to that, there is a small composition by Shankaracharya. That composition is called Manisha Panchakam. If you have seen the film on Shankaracharya, in that film also you can see when Shankaracharya was walking in the narrow streets of Kashi. Even now the streets of Kashi are very narrow. So, when he was walking, then there is one person called a Chandala. Chandala, in those days, he was supposed to be an outcast. So, that particular man, he comes in front of him. So, either Shankaracharya or his students, they say, okay, keep away, apasara, apasara, apasara means keep away. Then that gentleman, that Chandala asks him, oh my dear sir, you are saying that it is the same Atma which is there present in everybody. You are saying that Jiva is the same as Brahma, then am I not a Jiva? Are you asking the Brahman to go away, or are you asking this body to go away? What is it you are saying? And then Shankaracharya realizes his mistake. He apologizes to that person, and then says, then he, in that breath, he has given 5 beautiful verses. In all those 5 verses, the last line is Chandalostu satu dvijostu gururityeva manisha mama. So, the last line is like that. Any person who is having awareness, any person who is enlightened, that person with enlightenment, he is my Guru, whether he is a Chandala or whether he is a Dvija. The last line is that Chandalostu, may he be a Chandala. Dvijostu means may he be a Dvija. Sa Gururityesha Manisha Mama, he is my Guru. So, that is my conviction, that is my firm opinion. Manisha means a firm opinion, firm conviction. Of course, Manisha, you also see the name for girls, but Manisha actually means a firm idea, a firm understanding. So, he says, Brahmaivahamidam jagatcha sakalam chanmatra vistaritam sarvam chaita davidyaya trigunaya shesham maya kalpitam ittham yasya drudha matihi satve pare nirmale chandalostu satu dvijostu. So, it goes on like that. 5 shlokas come like that, where he says a person who is having a clear understanding of what is the reality. So, that person, he is a Jnani, and that Jnani is my Guru. So, that is what he says. And Ramanuja is again another great character. He was at that time, in fact, in the 12th century when Ramanuja came into the scene, at that time again we see that again the same social, some sort of discomfort was there, and then one section of the people, they were thinking that this particular Narayana mantra should not be told to each and everybody. Narayana mantra is a very, very sacred thing, this Ashtakshari. Ashtakshari, now you go to internet, you get any mantra anywhere. So, not only Ashtakshari, you get Gayatri, you get all the whole Veda, you get the whole recitation of Veda, etc. There is absolutely no secrecy about it. So, in those days, this Ashtakshari was held to be a great secret. And then anybody who teaches Ashtakshari to somebody who is unauthorized, he would go to hell. There was a sort of, say, some sort of order like that. Ramanuja said, okay, let me go to hell if 100 people are going to benefit from that. So he went on to the top, he is said to have gone on to the top of the hill, top of that say temple. And then from the top of the temple, he called aloud, and then he called all the people. Hundreds and hundreds of people came. That is in it is said to be in Srirangam. So hundreds and hundreds of people came, and then he loudly uttered that Tirumantra. Okay, now you utter this Tirumantra, you meditate in this particular manner. And the credit goes to Ramanuja that he took people from all varnas. Of course, by the time of Ramanuja, already this structure called caste had come into existence. I will tell you what that caste is. But by the time of Ramanuja, this structure called caste had also come into existence. And then the credit to Ramanuja is that Ramanuja picked up several people from those the so-called Chandalas, and then he called them Alvars. Alvars are actually teachers. And then if you go to some temple, whether it is Srirangam or some other say Vaishnava temple, you find the long line of Alvars. You find the long line of Alvars about 12-13 p.m. I don't exactly remember the number, about 20 odd people. So those Alvars, some of them, they are supposed to be from the Chandala caste. So he took people from all the say communities. So he was a great a person who tried to integrate the society. Anyway, so the actual fact is that the Varna is something which is described in our books, but not caste. So what is this caste then? Caste is something which is a sociological phenomena. I was just referring to it in the last episode also very briefly. So sociological phenomena, what is this sociological phenomena? If you are an youngster, you won't know what was the structure of a village about 50 years ago. I am from a village, I am now about 65. So I know what was the social structure in a village about 60 years ago. About 60 years ago, my neighbor was somebody who was a weaver. And then when my parents or when my grandparents, they wanted some saris or some dhotis, etc., they used to call that man, and then that man used to bring some nice saris and then dhotis, etc., etc. We used to buy from them. So you need a goldsmith. Suppose you want something, some gold chain or something to be made. Then there is a goldsmith in the village, and that goldsmith is the man who makes that thing. And then you need some small iron implement, and that small iron implement, there is an ironsmith who has got some some bellows and all those things. You know what is a bellow? Bellow is something which pumps air. You just press that bellow, and then it pumps air, and then it keeps on lighting that fire, and on that fire some hot, some iron, some metallic thing is kept, and then somebody is heating it, keeping it on the anvil and heating it. So that is that ironsmith. So like that, everywhere, in every village, all these trades were there. There was a potter, and the potter was the most important man, because in every house there used to be a small room full of pots. In olden days, I don't know, even now there may be there, full of pots, one whole say room, because in one pot something, in another pot something, because all the grain which is needed for the whole year, it comes in 2 or 3 installments. So all that grain has to be stored somewhere. So some huge pots and then some small pots and pots of various sizes. So that potter was an important man. So like that, people of different trades, they were there, and each trade has a particular skill. So they had to preserve those skills. So if a potter had to give his daughter to somebody else, so to some boy, he would select a potter boy and not someone else who is not he will not select a barber, he will not select a goldsmith or anybody, and nor the goldsmith is going to marry this say this girl, because each say caste, it became a small economically a sort of economic guild. So in Western society there are what are called economic guilds. There used to be. Of course, after industrialization, those economic guilds disappeared. So this like an economic guild, suppose from one village there is a goldsmith. So in the same village, of course, there may not be another goldsmith. there used to be at least 2 or 3 goldsmiths in a village, but still if in the case of marriage they used to go to the neighboring village they go and then give the daughter or marry from another goldsmith's family, because the trade has to be preserved. The trade there may be, it cannot be trade secret, but the trade skill, let us say, the trade skills have to be preserved and then it has to be continued. So that is how this caste became consolidated over a period of time. And then there is also another reason for this caste, which we find in Manusmriti. Manusmriti is another text which we, even if you hate, I advise you to read Manusmriti, because many people without reading Manusmriti they develop hate because somebody else has told. Some fellow, some foreigner writes, oh, this is Manusmriti, Manu is a villain, and then this fellow has created a lot of confusion here, etc. But Manusmriti was the code of conduct written for a previous age, for the so-called Kruta Yuga. It is not for Kali Yuga. Kruta Yuga dharma is different. That is the social order, the particular type of behavior which was expected in the Kruta Yuga was different from the behavior which is expected in Kali Yuga. So for Kali Yuga there is another Smriti called Parashara Smriti. Anyway, if you read that Manusmriti, which is very supposed to be very authentic, one of the very authentic codes, so in that you find a mention of these things. That is, in those days, it was these people, they wanted to preserve this Varna. They wanted to preserve the chastity of this Varna. In fact, in the beginning of this Gita also, Arjuna's fear is that there will be Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara means this mixing of Varnas. So Arjuna says, okay, if all these men die, what will happen to this all these people? The women will get married to somebody else. There will be Varna Sankara. What will happen to our dharma? So that was the concern. So right up to Dwapara Yuga or so, there was a concern with this Varna, preserving this Varna intact. So then there was some sort of system of punishment. That is, if a Brahmin woman slept with one, a Shudra for example, so the child should be a Chandala. So what we call Chandala today is not exactly an untouchable. Once upon a time his mother was a Brahmin. This is according to our own books. What we call Chandala is Shudra person sleeping with a Brahmana woman, the child whom they get is a Chandala. This harsh punishment was given, or harsh decision was taken for upkeeping, for keeping up that structure called the Varna. So that is what happened over a period of time. It is not as though one particular group was interested, every group is interested. Even today, every group is interested. Even today, even among the so-called Dalit classes, one Dalit class feels it is superior, and then they don't intermarry with another Dalit class. This is where we are. If we just tell about truth, if we just see the truth, so everybody is there within its own limited boundaries. So this is the situation. Of course, other Western societies, they were much more horrible. Western societies, if we see, they abducted people. They abducted people from Africa in lakhs and lakhs, and then they enslaved them. They made them slaves. They tied them with the fetters, and then they used to flog them with whips and all that, and then they got work from them, and the entire West was built on the flesh and blood of the so-called black people in whether it is in America or in England or any other Western country. So anyway, though they are like that, it is now for us, if coming to our case, it is now for us means not people like you and me, but for our Swamijis, people who are in charge of this dharma, people who can tell ordinary people. That is, if you and I say, nobody would listen. If a Swamiji says, if some Swamijis come together, and then if they say, then there will be an impact on society. So the question is whether we have to say go back to that interpretation of the Upanishadic times, or whether we should continue the present confusion. So I personally feel that this Swamijis have to remedy, otherwise this society will continue to have this nagging problem. So we will continue in the next episode. Thank you. Om Tat Sat.